Good evening, universe. Tonight I'm going to be talking all about the new release from Cassandra Clare, Chain of Thorns, the last book in her The Last Hours trilogy. This is going to be a spoilery video, so if you haven't read it yet, then I recommend you go ahead and do that first. In this video, I just kind of wanted to talk about my general feelings about everything that happened in the book, and at the end, I'm going to be ranking each of her series by my favorite to my least favorite. I had really high expectations for these books. I love all the Shadowhunters books, and this series especially has been really close to my heart. I love all the characters and all their relationships. I love the villains that are in this one. I think all of it has been fantastic. So I was really expecting a lot from this, and I think for the most part it delivered. I was originally not that much of a fan of Jessie and Lucy as a pairing, but in this book I completely changed my mind. Jessie and Lucy were so cute. I really loved Jessie sort of getting used to life and getting to experience things and sort of that wonder at experiences. I really enjoyed that. Even though I felt kind of like Jessie was a little bit bland in previous books, I felt like in this one he really came to life, and maybe that was intentional, a ghost versus living soul, but I definitely loved him a lot in this book, and I thought their pairing was really adorable. I particularly loved the ending that they get where they say, this is our happy middle. I think that was super cute and super beautiful and a really good reference to Lucy's storytelling and story-minded sort of experience of the world. Of course, the main couple that I was reading this series for and that I was rooting for the whole time is James and Cordelia. Jordelia, my favorite ship of all of the Shadowhunters ships. I have been waiting so long for them to get together, and it finally happened. It was fantastic. The first 700 pages waiting for them to get together was a little bit agonizing, but all of that yearning was fantastic, and it was so satisfying when they finally got together. And I have to say, I was really nervous because it wasn't 700 pages. It was like 500 pages. The book was like 750 pages. I think, Jordelia finally gets together in the like 500, 550-ish mark. And I was so concerned because we still had at least 200 pages to go. And I was so worried that something was going to happen to one or both of them. But fortunately, that didn't happen. And instead, we got this beautiful couple. I do wish we had gotten more domestic moments like we got in the previous two books between them. Some like cute, cozy situations. But I understand that there wasn't really room for that in the story, and it was already quite long. So making extra space for that probably would have been difficult, but I did miss that element a little bit in this book. However, it was so nice for them to finally get together. I absolutely adored it. And like I said, Jordelia is definitely my favorite Shadowhunters couple. With Matthew, I loved his arc. Originally, I was kind of rooting for him and Lucy to get together, but I actually think it was great that he ended up alone and kind of taking time to work through his alcoholism. I really loved his arc overall. I felt so bad for him when he was in the throes of loving Cordelia. I was so anxious about his friendship with him and James. But I loved the way that friendship rolled out, and I really enjoyed the ending that Matthew got as well. With Alistair and Thomas, I really enjoyed them. I thought their relationship was cute. I do have to say it felt a little bit repetitive at certain points, like Alistair would just not learn his lesson already. It felt a little bit like the yearning for them was less natural than yearning in other couples. So I kind of wish that it had been a little bit faster to get to fruition, or that we had maybe not had quite so many scenes of them telling Alistair that he's allowed to be happy. But I'm glad that they got together in the end, and I thought their romance was cute. I was so relieved when Matthew and Alistair were able to not necessarily be friends, but to be able to be okay with each other. I thought that was great. With Ari and Anna, I kind of felt actually the opposite of Alistair and Thomas. Specifically, I, again, thought their romance was really cute. I was really rooting for them, especially in previous books. In this book, I felt like we didn't get enough of a resolution of their problems. Like, I loved that they got together. It just felt a little bit unresolved to me, some of the things that they had left unspoken. It felt like there could have been a little bit more depth to conversations that they had, or an understanding that they came to. Like, we kind of got that, but it felt to me like there could have been a little bit more. And since this was a couple that I was really excited for in this book, that was a little bit disappointing to me. Of course, we had Christopher's death. That was tragic. I had the feeling somebody was going to die in this book. I wasn't really expecting it to be Christopher. I didn't know who I thought it might be, but it definitely took me by surprise, and it was really sad. So I really enjoyed that. I thought that was super well done. And I think the time that the characters spent grieving for Christopher was really great. So I had actually expected Grace and Christopher to end up together, and I think I had said that I didn't really want that to happen because Grace needed some time alone to deal with all the trauma that she's been through. And I am really glad that ended up being the case, that her and Christopher didn't end up together, even though the reason that they didn't end up together is because Christopher's dead. I really enjoyed Grace in this book. I really did hate her in the previous volumes, so it was great to see the way that her character was explored in this. I loved the kind of complexity of not 100% absolving her of the things that she's done, but also not villainizing her completely anymore. I liked the kind of shaky, confusing middle ground that she ended up with. What I didn't like about this is the idea that by holding her accountable for her actions, they would be like Tatiana. I don't really agree with that. I think that she made enough mistakes and did enough terrible things that it's like, it's fair for people to be angry with her. It's fair for people. If James had never forgiven her, then I think that would have been fair. Because even though she was Tatiana's blade, she also did do those things herself. So I didn't 100% agree with that. But for the most part, I really liked the way that her arc spans, the way that her arc goes in this book. I definitely liked her more than I expected to, which was really nice for this. I was expecting to be a little bit maybe angry with her and disappointed with her character arc, but it ended up really fantastic. I think it was a really elegant ending for her. I did wish that we had gotten a little bit more of a closure around Belial. The current incarnation of Belial was killed and then was replaced by a new Belial who is not obsessed with the Herondales, which is great. You know, that's wonderful that they were able to get their family out of immediate danger. But I wish he had stayed dead a little bit longer, or that there had been more of an effect of, like, you took out evil for a little while, you know? Like, you've reduced the greater demon situation for a little bit. Because I thought that was how it worked. Like, when... Spoilers for the Mortal Instruments, in case you haven't read that. When Simon kills Lilith, she's dead for like a while. And I was kind of hoping that that would be the same case with Belial. Although it does make me interested in seeing more of how greater demons work. I am hoping that we get more of that in The Wicked Powers when that eventually comes out. I know that Cassandra Clare is taking a bit of a break at the moment, so I have no idea when we'll be getting The Wicked Powers, but I do still hold out hope that we will get them eventually, and I'm really hoping we get more greater demons in there and get more information on exactly how they function, what the lore is, so on. And with that in mind, since 4 series are done now, I kind of wanted to rank them by my favorite to my least favorite. So I do think that The Last Hours is my favorite series of the Shadowhunters overarching series overall. I do think that The Last Hours is my favorite. That might just be because I've read it the most recently, so I definitely want to do a huge reread of all the books and see for sure which one is my favorite. But I think number one is The Last Hours. This is going to be followed by The Dark Artifices. I really love the romance in that one a lot. I think it's fantastic. While the villain in the first book was not my favorite, I did like the villain in the second and third books and the adventures that they go on. I really enjoyed all of that. And the romance between Emma and Julian is fantastic. It's right up there with Cordelia for me because I absolutely love Julian. I like Emma, and I think they're a great couple. So number 3 is going to be The Mortal Instruments. This was my first series that I read from Cassandra Clare, and I remember just like absolutely binging it and adoring it. And even though it has some elements that are a little like, I still really like it. I think it's really fun and enjoyable. And finally, unpopular opinion, number 4, my least favorite Shadowhunters series is going to be the Infernal Devices. Now, this one, I definitely feel like I need to do a reread of because when I read it all in one weekend, and I was either sick or I had just had my wisdom teeth removed or I had something going on where I was feeling really under the weather, and I just read and read and read, and it kind of feels like a little bit of a fever dream now when I look back on it. So I feel like that is negatively impacting my feelings about it. And everybody seems to love that one so much. So I would definitely be interested in doing a reread of that to see if maybe I can pick up on why everybody seems to adore it so much. Don't get me wrong, I still love it as a book series, just in the Shadowhunters overall thing, it's my least favorite. Still very enjoyable. I love Shadowhunters overall. But yeah, that's my ranking of all the Shadowhunters series. Please tell me what your ranking is down below. If I am a fool for not enjoying the Infernal Devices, then let me know. I do also really enjoy all the short story collections. I haven't read all of them. I haven't read the Bane Chronicles yet, but I have read the rest of them. And I also haven't read Secrets of Blackthorn Manor because it is only on e-reader and, or like, online. I'm not sure exactly what format it is, but it seems to be, it's not in print is what I'm trying to say. And because it's not in print, I haven't read it because I have a hard time reading and enjoying stuff and really getting absorbed into the story when it's not a physical book. But I do want to read it, and I hope it comes out physically soon. That would be fantastic. But I haven't heard anything about it, so I might go ahead and read it online anyway, especially because I love Emma and Julian so much. And I think it connects to The Last Hours too, because, Blackthorn Manor, Secrets of Blackthorn Manor. I think that's pretty much everything I have to say for this video. I did love Chain of Thorns. It was probably my least favorite of The Last Hours books. Still really enjoyable. I think it was a great ending. Let me know what you guys thought. I've definitely seen really mixed feelings online so far, so I'd be interested to hear what people have to say. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great night, universe.